Another entry in the 2025 My Feet Hurt Just Watching This film canon. Hey everybody, welcome to Mainly Movies. As part of my coverage of TIFF50, the 2025 Toronto International Film Festival, today I'm going to be talking about the 2025 Hong Kong action thriller, The Furious, which will be released in theaters on June 12th. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content, like reviews, rank lists, and recommendations. All my reviews include a breakdown of the pros and cons, my rating, and even some tailored film recommendations. So be sure to watch through to the end of this video for all that extra content. The Furious stars Miao, Taslim, and Enyou, and was directed by Kenji Tanigaki. It tells the story of a mute man who takes on a criminal network after his young daughter is kidnapped, teaming up with a journalist whose wife disappeared while investigating the same network. You know, I get it. Sometimes film discourse can be utterly exhausting. There's just so much hyperbole these days. I suppose it's always been like this to some extent with advertising for films, but I do think the internet and especially social media have only heightened it and have made hyperbole commonplace in regular film discussion. This may be hyperbolic in and of itself, but it feels like every movie coming out these days is either the best or the worst, a modern masterpiece or a pile of hot garbage. There's seemingly very little middle ground anymore. Every horror movie is touted as the scariest of the year. Every sci-fi blockbuster is a visual spectacle that shouldn't just be watched, but rather demands to be seen on the biggest screen possible. At this point, we're all pretty good at recognizing clickbait for what it is, and we're also collectively dehydrated from all the grains of salt we've had to take along with the hyperbole. So it's perfectly understandable to be a bit skeptical when festival-going critics see a new movie and start hyping it as the next big thing. With how consistently that happens, it can be easy to tune it out after a while. But I have to say, the hype around The Furious is no joke. I'm not usually one to make big hyperbolic claims, but this is a film that actually deserves it. No, demands it. The Furious features some of the best action and fight choreography of the decade. Now, you might be wary of hype like that, but honestly, even claims like that can't do this movie justice or properly prepare you for the action it has in store. The Furious sets out to do one thing, and does that one thing extraordinarily well. We can, and briefly will, talk about the film's other elements, but the primary focus here is the action. This isn't just a movie with good action, the action is this movie. Yeah, you've got bits of plot here and there, and just enough of a story to keep the characters motivated, but 90–95% of this movie is action. Once the story starts, the action and martial arts mayhem rarely lets up, with each set piece and fight sequence leading right into the next. Bloody barefoot chases, digit gnashing, 5-on-1 octagon cage matches with hammers, a deadly archer who might as well be the villain in a slasher movie. This film is filled to the brim with hard-hitting, bone-crunching, teeth-spitting, blood-splattered action. There's so much hand-to-hand combat in this one, and Kensuke Sonomura's fight choreography is beyond impressive. Limbs weave in and out with perfect timing. Fluid acrobatics are put on display as fighters flip, spin, leap, and tumble around opponents. It's mostly fists and feet, but other weapons are opportunistically brought into the fray too. Knives, ice picks, an assortment of hammers, sledge and otherwise, plus some slightly more atypical weapons. Ladders, motorcycles, garbage bags, and even a bicycle. Each fight varies in the number of combatants, but the precise choreography, long takes, and dynamic camera movements keep things equal parts exciting and entertaining. To be honest, it's difficult to overstate the impressiveness of the action here. Unfortunately, it's equally difficult to speak very highly about, well, anything else in the movie. That's not to say the other elements are bad per se, they're just kinda there. The basic story here is fine. It's the type of rescue mission story you've seen many times before, with just enough characterization to give you the most general sense of who the protagonists are. Throw in a pair of missing loved ones to motivate them, and we're off. On the tonal side, this movie's a bit of an interesting mix. Sometimes it's heartfelt and almost grounded, but other times it's entertainingly over the top and even darkly funny with its violent action and moments of exaggerated stylization. The story beats used to connect the action sequences are okay, but the script itself is a bit rough. with some clunky, forgettable dialogue, and the bizarre spaghetti western-style English dubbing was an odd choice. I think subtitles would have been much less distracting, but it's possible that the international cast necessitated a single common dubbing language, just like the aforementioned spaghetti westerns. So there are plenty of gripes to be had with this film, but let's be honest, nobody is watching a movie like this for its script, acting, or ADR. Just about every negative aspect pales in comparison to the entertaining brutality and creativity of its action. I saw The Furious at the Press and Industry screening at TIFF, but the atmosphere felt like a Midnight Madness premiere. There was applause, cheers, and laughter throughout the screening, from working critics. So you just know that this is going to be a crowd-pleasing hit among genre fans. Alright, let's talk about the pros and cons. The biggest pro is the action. I know this ends up in the pros for a lot of movies, but for this film, the action is the movie. It's like 90 to 95% of the film, and all of the best parts of the movie. It's what makes the film what it is. The Furious has some of the best action of the decade, and honestly, even saying something like that kind of feels like I'm underselling it. With its brutal, bone-crunching ferocity and unrelenting bloody violence, the action here is intense, exciting, and entertaining. The fight choreography is fantastic, with a seemingly endless succession of long action sequences and memorable, creatively staged fights. If you want action, look no further than The Furious. On the con side, the biggest issue is the script. So, to be fair, this isn't something that'll significantly affect most people's enjoyment of this movie and its martial arts madness. That said, the writing here is nothing to, well, write home about. The story is fine, with a pretty familiar dad-stops-at-nothing rescue mission. The plotting is so-so, but gets the job done, especially when you remember that the job is just to provide some semblance of story connection between the crazy action sequences. The same goes for the clunky dialogue and poor spaghetti western-style English dubbing. Still, all of these things are pretty easy to look past when you're watching a guy dodging arrows and swinging a sledgehammer around. Before I give you my rating and recommendations, I want to remind you that if you're interested in buying The Furious, or any of the other films I mentioned today, I do have affiliate links for all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy using one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you'd use them if you're in the market for any of these movies or anything else. I'm gonna give The Furious 3.5 out of 5 paws. This is the action movie of the year. The premise is very familiar, and the script and English dubbing are nothing to write home about, but the action is bloody and bone-crunchingly unrelenting. With its onslaught of martial arts mayhem, it's gonna be tough for anything else to top this crowd-pleasing brawler's fight choreography for the foreseeable future. I would recommend The Furious to fans of action. I realize how obvious that may sound, but it really is as simple as that. This isn't some intricately plotted story or a thematically deep film. It sets out to do one thing, and does it extraordinarily well. This is a relentlessly violent and bloody brawl fest with some incredibly entertaining and impressively choreographed fight sequences. Fans of Hong Kong, Indonesian, or Thai action thrillers are gonna have a new brutal favorite to add to their lists. See it with a crowd if you can for the full experience. If you liked The Furious, I would recommend Kill. When an army of bandits try to hijack a passenger train, a pair of commandos fight to protect the passengers. This Indian action thriller more than delivers on revenge-fueled action carnage. With its over-the-top and creatively staged close-quarter fight sequences, this is a blood-soaked, non-stop actioner. If you'd prefer an Indonesian action thriller, you'll want to check out The Shadow Strays. Aurora Ribeiro delivers an impressive physical performance, starring as a young assassin who defies orders in order to rescue her 11-year-old neighbor. Another kid-in-peril rescue thriller with unrelenting brutal action, this features some more exciting and violent fight choreography. And if you just can't get enough action, you might want to watch Flashpoint. This Hong Kong action thriller stars Donnie Yen as a police detective, not exactly known for playing by the rules, who teams up with an undercover cop to take down a smuggling ring. Yen also choreographed the action of this movie, incorporating MMA-style moves into his usual repertoire, creating some intense fight sequences that leave you feeling exhausted just watching. Alright, a couple questions for you guys. Number 1, have you seen The Furious? If so, What'd you think of it? And number 2, what movie features your favorite fight choreography? Be sure to leave your answers in the comments below so we can get a discussion going. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information on this review, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe while you're at it to see more videos like this. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies, the way life should be.